Bicycling, Motorcycling, Rhetoric, and Space by myself, Hunter H. Fine. Chapter number 1, on cycling. Riding, bicycling, and motorcycling comments on its own context and constructs its own surroundings. Cycling is not only a physical practice, something that we do, but it is a way of thinking and communicating. All human movement, for that matter, if it is deliberate and in a public context, is a form of thinking and a form of communicating, even writing. We might call this a non-verbal articulation. Practice and as discourse. And so a practice is and constitutes a discourse. How we talk about bicycling and motorcycling constitutes a discourse, but the practice itself is a nonverbal articulation or a discourse. And so I look at bicycling and motorcycling along with space through the lenses of sophistic rhetorical theory and post-structuralist theory. Performance and participation are some of the foundations of my qualitative research methodology. And so I go out there and deliberately engage in bicycling and motorcycling practices, and in turn learn more about the endeavor, the ontology of the practice itself, and the epistemology, what I learned from the acts of writing. I do this all throughout the world and throughout the United States, but I am situated within Guam. And so, in the context of Guam, I discuss bicycling and how it functions in relation to the island. And so, I participated in the tour of Guam, a member of the Guam Cycling Federation, the Mountain Biking Championship, also daily rides and riding within the context of the island in a space of automobility. The Guam Cycling Federation. I engage in a series of sanctioned events that occur oftentimes publicly and connect this with epidectic rhetoric, or an ancient branch of rhetoric that deals with the rhetoric of display. Through these sanctioned events, numerous values are put on display for a larger public. Bicycling community and infrastructure makes an impact on space. And so there is a robust cycling community on the island and throughout the region, and I engage in these particularly through sanctioned events. Guam motorcycling in context. And so there's a large off-road community and culture as well on the island. And so the Guam International Speedway hosts international motocross events, and I took part in some of those. I also took part in subcultures of motorcycling, for example, stunt motorcycle modifications and rides, as well as daily commutes and rides throughout the island. The International Speedway and trail riding are two forms of motocross or off-road motorcycling that I engage in here on the island. Automobility in context. Guam is a small island, but it is dominated by the automobile in terms of transportation and space. We might discuss a colonial setting, the territorial status of Guam within the larger United States psyche makes the island smaller than it actually is. The terra incognita of Ptolemy, all the way back in the turn Baleofa islands, resistance of belittling perspectives of smallness, dedication of space and reliance on automobility in the colonial context. Practices, things we do can be read and interpreted as messages. Des Certeau, an island. Riding a bicycle enlarges Guam, so mental, physical enlargement. Guam set the record for largest Nissan motorcade, which I don't think is something to be proud of. Well, we may figure that out.